Hello. Welcome back to Drowsy Inquirer. You're in a forest. Right now, I want you there. An old one. The kind where the trees are so tall, you can't see where they end. It's quiet here. Just your breathing, and somewhere far off, a bird you can't name. Feel the ground under you. It's soft, damp, covered in old leaves and moss and things that have been breaking down for years. Smells like earth, like rain that fell last week. Now here's what I want you to know. Right beneath you, maybe a few inches down, something is happening. Something nobody can see. The trees around you are talking. Not with words, not with sounds, but they're talking. And tonight, we're gonna listen. Stay there for a second, in that forest. Don't move yet. You're looking at the trees, the trunks going up, the branches spreading out. Each one looks separate, right? This tree here, that tree over there. Individuals, alone. That's what I thought too. That's what everyone thinks. But sink down in your mind. Just let yourself drop through the soil, past the leaves, past the beetles and the worms, into the dark. And suddenly, there's roots everywhere. You can't tell whose is whose. They're all tangled up. This massive underground maze going in every direction. A single tree, one of those big ones up there, its roots spread wider than the tree is tall, way wider. They're reaching out, looking for water, looking for nutrients, looking for something else. Now look closer, between the roots. There's these threads, incredibly thin, thinner than hair, thinner than you can imagine. White, mostly, delicate. And there are miles of them, miles, in just a handful of this dirt you're floating through. These are fungi, and they're wrapped around every root you can see, sometimes going inside the roots themselves, connecting them. Tree to fungus, to tree, to fungus, to tree. The whole forest linked up, right here in the dark, where nobody looks. Go back with me, way back. Before there were forests, before there were animals on land, before almost anything. The land is just rock, sand, empty. And the first plants are crawling out of the water, trying to figure out how to survive up here. They can do the sunlight thing, turn it into food, but the ground is hard. Their roots are pathetic little things that can't grab enough nutrients. They're struggling. But there's something else here. Fungi. They've been on land longer. They're good at breaking down rock, good at finding the tiny bits of mineral hidden in the ground. And somewhere, at some point, a deal gets made. Nobody knows exactly how, but plant and fungus start working together. The plant shares some of its sugar. The fungus shares what it finds in the soil. It works. It works so well that 400 million years later, almost every plant on Earth still does it. The grass outside your window, the trees in the park, the forest you're lying in right now, all of them have fungal partners wrapped around their roots. You're surrounded by this partnership. It's one of the oldest agreements on the planet, and it's happening right here in the dark when nobody looks. Go back with me, way back, before there were forests, before there were animals on land, before almost anything. The land is just rock, sand, empty, and the first plants are crawling out of the water, trying to figure out how to survive out here. They can do the sunlight thing, turn it into food, but the ground is hard. Their roots are pathetic little things that can't grab enough nutrients. They're struggling. But there's something else here. Fungi. They've been on land longer. They're good at breaking down rock,
good at finding the tiny bits of mineral hidden in the ground. And somewhere, at some point, a deal gets made. Nobody knows exactly how, but plant and fungus start working together. The plant shares some of its sugar, the fungus shares what it finds in the soil. It works. It works so well that 400 million years later, almost every plant on Earth still does it. The grass outside your window, the trees in the park, the forest you're lying in right now. All of them have fungal partners wrapped around their roots. You're surrounded by this partnership. It's one of the oldest agreements on the planet, and it's happening right here, in the dark, when nobody looks. There's a woman named Suzanne Simard. She grew up in the forests of British Columbia. Her family were loggers. She spent a childhood in those woods, and she noticed something. The forestry companies treated each tree like a separate product. Cut this one, plant that one. Very efficient, very logical. But something felt wrong to her. So she started testing. She put trackers in the trees, followed where the carbon went, and what she found changed everything. The carbon moved from tree to tree through the fungal network. The oldest, biggest trees were sending food to the youngest, smallest ones, like they were feeding them. She started calling them mother trees. You might be near one right now, one of those ancient giants that's been standing there for centuries, connected to hundreds of other trees, sending sugar down through its roots, into the fungal web, out to seedlings struggling in the shade. And here's the part that got everyone's attention. The mother trees seemed to recognize their own offspring. Seedlings from their own seeds get more carbon, more nutrients, more help. Is that love? I don't know what to call it, but feeding is real, the recognition is real, the care is real. Lie there and think about that. The tree above you might be taking care of children you can't even see.
Let me show you the network itself, the mycelium. That's what all those white threads are called when you put them together. A single fungus can spread for miles. There's one in Oregon that covers almost 4 square miles. One organism, connected through the soil, thousands of years old. But a forest doesn't have just one fungus. There might be hundreds of species, thousands, each one forming its own network. Some only connect with certain trees, specialists. Others will partner with anyone. So a single tree might be plugged into dozens of networks at the same time, connected to the oak over there through one fungus, connected to the birch behind you through another. Information flowing in all directions. You're floating in the middle of it right now, this web of connections surrounding you in the dark, silent, invisible, but alive, growing. A thread here, a thread there, slowly expanding, always looking for new partners. 1 millimeter a day, that's how fast it grows. Slow, patient, it has time. It's been doing this for longer than anything else alive. Stay down here with me for a minute, in the dark, among the roots. See that seedling over there? The tiny one. It sprouted a few months ago. It's trying so hard, but it's in the shade. The big trees up above have taken all the sunlight. This little one is getting maybe 2% of what it needs. It can't make enough food to survive. The math doesn't work. But watch. Through the fungal network, from that big mother tree on the other side of the clearing, carbon is moving. Sugar, food, traveling through the threads, through the roots, slowly making its way toward this struggling seedling. It arrives. The seedling takes it in. It's not much, but it's enough. Enough to survive another week, another month, another year. This seedling didn't earn this. It can't pay it back. Not yet, maybe not ever. But the mother tree sends it anyway. And not just to one seedling, to dozens, hundreds. Every struggling youngster in her network gets something. She's feeding the forest. This is happening all around you right now. This flow of food from those who have it to those who need it. Invisible,
constant, generous. Carbon isn't the only thing moving through here. Water too. Feel how damp the soil is around you. Trees are constantly pulling water up from below, moving it through their trunks, releasing it through their leaves. A big tree might move 100 gallons a day, but sometimes there's not enough water. Dry spells, droughts. Some trees are near streams. They're fine. Others are stuck on dry ridges with nothing. Watch what happens. Through the network, from the trees with water to the trees without, a slow trickle through the fungal threads. Not much, just a little, but enough. Trees that are connected to the network survive droughts better than trees that are alone. That's been measured. That's real. And some trees go even further. Certain maples at night, they pull water up from deep underground and release it back into the shallow soil, watering the ground around them, giving it to whoever needs it. Why? Nobody knows exactly, but the neighbors benefit. The network benefits. The whole community gets a little stronger because of what the maples do in the dark. Something's wrong. Over on the edge of the forest, caterpillars. They've found a tree and they're eating its leaves. Hundreds of them, chewing, destroying. The tree can't run, can't hide, can't do anything but stand there and get eaten. But it's not helpless. Watch. The tree starts making chemicals, bitter stuff, toxic stuff, things that make its leaves taste terrible. That's defense. That's fighting back. But it's also doing something else. It's releasing signals into the air, into the ground, through the fungal network. And the trees around it, the ones that haven't been attacked yet, they pick up the signal, and they start making their own defenses before the caterpillars even reach them. They're getting ready. The network carries warnings. Danger here. Prepare yourself. By the time the caterpillars spread, the other trees are already bitter, already toxic, already harder to eat. The forest protects itself, tree by tree, warning by warning. Through the dark, through the threads, the message spreads. You're surrounded by this communication right now, these constant chemical whispers. Danger, safety, prepare, relax. A conversation that never stops.
Come up a little. Not all the way, just to the surface, to the forest floor. See these seedlings? The little ones scattered around? Some of them have been here for decades. Decades. Just sitting in the shade, barely growing, waiting. Waiting for what? Look up. See how the canopy is closed? The big trees have taken everything. Barely any light gets through. These seedlings can't grow. Not really. Not yet. But they're not dying either. The network is feeding them. Just enough to keep them alive. Just enough to keep them ready. Ready for what? One day, maybe soon, maybe in 50 years, one of those big trees is going to fall. Storm, disease, old age, something will bring it down. And when it falls, a hole opens up. Sunlight pours through, and these seedlings that have been waiting all this time, they explode, racing upward, reaching for the light they've been denied for so long. The network kept them alive for this moment. The mother trees fed them through decades of darkness, preparing them for their chance. And when the chance comes, they take it. Everything dies, even the mother trees, even the giants that have been standing for 500 years. Disease, lightning, just age. Eventually something gives. But watch what happens when a tree knows it's dying. The flow reverses. Instead of taking from the network, the dying tree starts giving, more than ever. It pumps carbon into the fungal threads, sends nutrients to its neighbors, to its offspring, to anyone connected. It's emptying itself out, giving away everything it's spent centuries collecting. One last gift. And when the tree finally falls, the giving doesn't stop. The trunk becomes home for insects, for fungi, for new seedlings that sprout on the rotting wood. Nurse log, it's called, a dead tree that nurses new life. Nothing is wasted. The carbon goes back into the network. The minerals return to the soil. The space in the canopy opens for the seedlings that have been waiting. Death becomes gift. Ending becomes beginning. The forest continues. We live fast. I know you know this. Everything is instant. Everything is now. We measure our lives in minutes and seconds and notifications that won't stop. Trees don't live like that. A fungal thread grows 1 millimeter per day. A conversation between trees might take a whole season. The carbon a mother tree sends might sustain a seedling for 10 years. They're not in a hurry. They can't be. This is how the forest works. Slow, steady, patient. There's something peaceful about that. Something we forget in our rushing. Not everything has to happen right now. Some things take time. Some connections need years to build. Some gifts take decades to give. The forest has been here for millions of years. It's not stressed. It's not anxious. It just keeps going. One season at a time. 1 century at a time. You're part of that now. Lying here in the dark. Surrounded by this ancient, patient, generous network. There's no rush. Not tonight. Not here. Just breathe. Just rest. Just let the forest hold you.
You're still down here, in the dark, among the roots and the threads. Good. Stay with me. I want to show you something that surprised even the scientists who found it. See that Douglas fir over there? The big one with the thick bark. And that paper birch on the other side. Completely different trees. Different leaves, different bark, different everything. They don't even look like they belong in the same forest. But watch what happens underground. In summer, the fir is doing great. Evergreen, full of needles, catching all that sunlight, making more sugar than it needs. The birch is struggling. Its broad leaves are shaded by the fir. Not enough light getting through. It's hungry. And through the network, through those fungal threads connecting them both, carbon starts moving. From the fir to the birch. The fir is feeding the birch, a completely different species, a stranger. But here's where it gets interesting. Come back in autumn. The birch still has leaves, golden now, still photosynthesizing in the weak fall sun. But the fir is slowing down, preparing for winter, not making as much food. And the flow reverses. The birch sends carbon to the fir, paying back what it received in summer. Or just giving, because it can, because the network allows it. Back and forth, season after season, 2 completely different species, taking turns feeding each other. Neither one asked for this, neither one planned it. It just happens. The network makes it happen. You're surrounded by these partnerships right now. Unlikely friendships, species that don't look like they have anything in common, connected in the dark, helping each other through. What would we call this if humans did it? Taking care of a stranger, helping someone you don't know just because you can, just because they need it. The forest has been doing this for millions of years, long before we showed up. Long before we invented the words for it. It's cold now in the forest. Imagine it with me. The ground is frozen. Snow covers everything. The birches have lost their leaves. Even the firs are barely moving. The needles stiff with ice. Nothing's happening right. Everything's asleep. Go down. Under the snow. Under the frost. Into the soil. It's warmer than you'd expect. The snow acts like a blanket. And the mycelium, those fungal threads, they're still there. Still connected. Still alive. They're not growing much. Too cold for that. But they're holding on. Maintaining the connections. Waiting. And there's something else. The roots are still touching. Still linked. And through those links, something is happening. Slowly. Very slowly. The trees are still sharing. Not much. Just a trickle. But carbon is still moving through the network. From trees that stored more in autumn to trees that need a little help getting through the cold. Winter isn't death down here. It's rest. It's patience. It's the network holding steady, keeping everyone connected until spring comes. The forest doesn't abandon its members just because the season is hard. Think about that while you're lying there. Above ground, everything looks dead, frozen, empty. But below, the community is still intact, still connected, still caring for each other in small ways. Waiting together is easier than waiting alone. Something's changing. The days are getting longer, a little warmer. Not much yet, but enough. Down in the soil, the mycelium feels it. Somehow. We don't fully understand how, but it knows. It starts growing again, slowly at first. Those bite threads pushing out through the dark soil, looking for new partners. Strengthening old connections. Waking up. And the roots respond. Water starts moving. The frozen ground thaws. Nutrients that have been locked away all winter become available again. The network is coming back online. And then something beautiful happens. The first carbon of the season starts to flow. From trees that wake up early to trees that are still groggy. From maples with their sap rising to oaks that need another few weeks. The early risers help the late sleepers. Just like summer and winter. Just like fir and birch. The pattern continues. You can almost feel it if you stay quiet. The slow surge of life coming back. The forest stretching, yawning, getting ready for another year. And all of it connected, all of it shared, from the oldest mother tree to the youngest seedling. Everyone plugged into the same network, waking up together.
There's something I haven't told you yet. This network you're floating in, these connections between the trees around you, they're not new. They're not something that started when these trees sprouted. They inherited them.
The fungal threads in this soil have been here for centuries, maybe longer. When a new tree sprouts, it doesn't build a network from scratch. It plugs into what's already there. What the trees before it built, what the trees before those built. You're surrounded by the work of generations. The mother tree standing above you, she's connected to threads that were here before she was born. Threads that connected to trees that died 100 years ago. Those trees connected to threads built by trees that died 200 years before that. The network remembers. Not with brains, not with thoughts, but the pathways remain. The connections persist. Each generation adds to what's already there, and the next generation inherits all of it. The forest you're in right now is standing on the shoulders of forests that came before, using pathways carved out by trees that fell centuries ago, drawing on resources that have been cycling through this network longer than any living tree can remember. And one day, the trees around you will fall too, but the network will remain, and new trees will plug in, and the connections will continue. You're not just surrounded by trees, you're surrounded by history, by accumulated wisdom, by the work of countless generations, all still present in the threads beneath you. Look around you. On the forest floor, between the standing trees, see those fallen ones? The huge trunks lying on the ground, covered in moss, soft with rot. They look dead, and they are, in one sense. The tree that made them stopped living years ago, decades ago, maybe centuries. But come closer. Look at what's growing on them. Seedlings, ferns, moss, an entire garden of new life sprouting right out of the dead wood. This is a nurse log, a tree that spent centuries standing, gathering resources, building connections, and now in death, it's giving all of it back. Go underneath, into the rotting wood. The mycelium is here too, breaking down the log, releasing nutrients, and connecting, always connecting. The seedlings growing on top of this log are plugged into the same network their grandmother belonged to, the same threads, the same pathways. The log is a bridge between the dead and the living, between the past and the future. Foresters used to clear fallen logs, thought they were a waste, just debris. Now they know better. A nurse log might support new growth for a century after it falls. It's not dead, it's transformed. It's still contributing. Lie there and think about that. What looks like an ending is really a new beginning. What looks like decay is really generosity. The forest wastes nothing. Somewhere out there, in forests we've protected or simply forgotten, there are ancient networks. Fungal webs that have been growing for thousands of years. Trees connected to pathways older than any civilization. Mother trees that were seedlings when humans were still figuring out how to farm. In the old-growth forests of British Columbia, in the protected groves of the Amazon, in places where the chain has never been broken. The network there is different, richer, more complex. Connections built on connections built on connections. Information that's been passing through the same pathways for millennia. We don't fully understand what's in those ancient networks, what kind of wisdom is stored there, what the trees know that we haven't figured out how to ask. But we can sense it. People who spend time in old-growth forests describe it a feeling, a presence, something that's hard to put into words. Maybe it's the network. Maybe it's all those years of accumulated connection still humming away in the darkness below.
Maybe when you stand in an ancient forest, you're not just surrounded by old trees, you're surrounded by old relationships, old partnerships, old agreements that have been honored for longer than we can imagine. The forest you're resting in tonight may not be ancient, but it's connected to something ancient. The pattern is the same. The partnerships are the same. The way of being is the same. You're touching something very old, even if you can't see it.
It's starting to rain. Feel it? In your imaginary forest. Drops hitting the leaves above you. That sound. That particular rhythm of rain in woods. Some of the water runs down bark into the soil. Some of it evaporates before it even hits the ground. Some of it pools in the low spots, sinking slowly into the earth. And below, the network responds. The fungal threads absorb what they can, swelling slightly, becoming more active. Water is the medium everything else moves through. With water, nutrients flow easier, messages travel faster. The whole system speeds up. The trees feel it too. Roots that were idle spring into action, drawing up the moisture, sending it upward through trunk and branch to leaves waiting above. And through the network, those trees with access to the most water share with those who got less. The rain didn't fall evenly. Some spots are soaked, some are barely damp, but the network evens it out, tree to fungus to tree, from where there's plenty to where there's need. Listen to the rain for a moment, just the sound of it. Every drop is feeding the network. Every drop is being shared. What falls on one tree benefits trees 20 feet away, 100 feet away. The forest drinks together. Not every tree is healthy. Some of them are struggling. Disease, damage, insects that got past their defenses, old age catching up. In the old view of forests, these trees were losers, weak, should be cleared out to make room for the strong, survival of the fittest, no room for sick trees. But watch what happens underground. The struggling tree is still connected to the network, still plugged in, and the healthy trees around it, the ones with carbon to spare, they send more to the sick one, not less, more. The network tries to heal its members. It doesn't always work. Some trees are too far gone. Some diseases can't be fought. But the forest doesn't abandon its sick. It supports them, feeds them, gives them a chance. And sometimes it works. The struggling tree gets enough extra resources to fight off the infection, to regrow what was lost, to recover. The network is a safety net, not a guarantee, but a chance. Think about what that means. A community where the healthy support the sick, where resources flow toward need, where nobody is abandoned just because they're struggling. We could learn something from that. I've been talking about the network like it's smart, like it knows things, makes decisions. It doesn't, not the way we do. Trees don't have brains, fungi don't have thoughts. There's no planning happening down there, no meetings, no strategy sessions. And yet, somehow resources get where they need to go. Somehow warnings spread. Somehow the sick get fed and the seedlings survive. How? The answer is that the network doesn't need a brain. It doesn't need a central planner.
It works through simple rules repeated billions of times. Sugar flows from where there's more to where there's less. Warnings trigger responses. Sick feeds healthy. Old nurtures young. Simple rules, ancient rules, rules that have been running for hundreds of millions of years. And from those simple rules, something that looks like wisdom emerges. Not intentional wisdom, but wisdom nonetheless. The forest doesn't decide to be generous. It just is generous. That's what it does. That's what the rules produce. Maybe that's even more beautiful. Not wisdom from a mind, but wisdom from a system. Not conscious care, but care that emerges anyway. You're surrounded by that wisdom right now. It's not thinking about you, but it's still there, still running, still producing generosity and connection and care, automatically, endlessly, in the dark below.
I've been showing you all these things. The feeding, the sharing, the warning, the nurturing, the healing. But there's something underneath all of it that I haven't said directly. The forest knows something we keep forgetting, that everything is connected, that no one survives alone, that the best strategy isn't competition, it's cooperation. The trees figured this out 400 million years ago, before brains existed, before thoughts were possible. They figured out that linking up with fungi was better than going it alone, that sharing was better than hoarding, that taking care of the community was the best way to ensure your own survival. We're still learning this. We build walls and fences and think that separating ourselves makes us stronger. The forest knows better. Connection makes you stronger. Networks make you resilient. Generosity comes back around. The seedling in the shade survives because the mother tree sends carbon. The mother tree thrives because healthy seedlings will eventually replace her. Everyone benefits when everyone is connected. That's the wisdom down there. That's what's been running in the dark under every forest on Earth for longer than we can really comprehend. You're part of that now, lying here, connected to me through words, connected to the idea of the forest through imagination, connected. We're social creatures. We need each other. The trees know this. They've always known. It's night now in your forest. The sun went down a while ago. The birds have stopped singing. Just crickets now, and somewhere an owl and the wind in the leaves way above you. It's dark. You can't see much, just shapes. The outlines of trunks, the suggestion of branches against the slightly lighter sky. But underground, nothing changes. The network doesn't care about light. It works in darkness anyway, always has. The threads are still connecting. The roots are still sharing. The slow conversation continues, unaware that night has fallen. If anything, some things speed up. The maples are doing their hydraulic redistribution thing, pushing water into the soil for others. Some nutrients move more easily when the trees aren't busy photosynthesizing. Night is not a pause. It's just a different kind of activity. You're lying in a forest that never really sleeps. Even when everything above ground goes quiet, the network keeps running, keeps connecting, keeps caring. That's reassuring somehow. While you rest, the forest rests too. But the connections don't break. The community doesn't dissolve. It's all still there, still holding, still ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Come up for a second. All the way up. Out of the soil. Back onto the surface. Look at the forest again, but different now. Now that you know what's underneath. That tree over there isn't standing alone. It's the tip of an iceberg. Most of what makes it alive is invisible, spreading out below, connected to everything around it. That seedling in the shade isn't struggling alone. It's being fed by trees you can't even see from here. That fallen log isn't just rotting, it's a bridge between generations, still nurturing, still giving. Everything is connected, everything is supporting everything else, and we can't see any of it. Makes you wonder what else is happening that we don't notice, what other invisible networks surround us, what other connections we're part of without knowing. The forest above ground is beautiful, the trunks and the leaves and the shafts of light coming through, but it's only half the picture, maybe less than half. The real action is below, always has been.
I keep coming back to the pace of it. 1 millimeter a day. That's how fast the mycelium grows. A season to have a conversation. A decade to raise a seedling. Centuries to build what the network has built. We live so fast. I can't even imagine living that slow. Making a decision that won't pay off for 100 years. Sending a gift that won't arrive for a month. But there's something peaceful about it. Something we've lost. The forest isn't anxious. How could it be? It doesn't have the wiring for anxiety. But even if it did, there'd be nothing to be anxious about. Everything moves slowly. Everything takes time. And that's fine. That's how it's supposed to be. What would it feel like to live that way? To stop measuring your life in hours and start measuring it in seasons? To stop expecting instant results and start trusting in slow growth? We can't become the trees. We can't plug into the mycelium. But maybe we can borrow a little of their pace. Just for tonight. Just while we rest. Let time slow down. Let the seconds stretch. Let the minutes blur together. You have nowhere to be. Nothing to do. Just rest. Just breathe. Just exist slowly, the way the forest exists. You're still there, in the forest, on the ground. Feel the earth beneath you, heavy, solid. It's been here for a very long time, and it'll be here long after you're gone. But it's not just dirt. You know that now. It's alive down there. Threads and roots and connections spreading in every direction. A community as complex as any city. More complex, maybe. And you're lying on top of it, being held by it. The same ground that holds the trees is holding you. There's something grounding about that. Literally. You're connected to the same earth that feeds the forest, made of the same elements, part of the same system. Even if we forget it most of the time. The trees pull carbon from the air. When they die, it goes into the soil. Some of it becomes part of other trees. Some of it becomes part of the earth itself. And we eat plants, or we eat animals that ate plants. The carbon passes through us too. We're part of the cycle. Not separate, not observers. Part of it. Lie there and feel that. The weight of your body on the ground holding you up, the same ground that holds the roots and the threads and the centuries of accumulated life. You belong here. You've always belonged here. I want to tell you one more thing before you drift off. The forest doesn't know you're here. It's not aware of you. It can't be, but doesn't have the equipment for that. But if it could know, I think it would welcome you, because that's what the forest does. It welcomes, it shares, it makes room. It feeds the hungry and supports the struggling, and holds the dying gently as they go. Not because it chooses to, because that's what it is. Generosity built into the system. Care woven into the very threads that hold it together. And tonight, lying here imagining yourself in the forest, you get to receive some of that. Not really, not literally, but in a way. The peace of the forest is real. The calm is real. The feeling of being held by something larger than yourself, something ancient and patient and endlessly generous.
That's real too, even if it's just in your imagination. Let it be a gift from the forest to you, from the network to your tired mind. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to pay it back. Just receive it, the way a seedling receives carbon from a mother tree, without earning it, without deserving it, just because the giving is what happens.
The trees teach one more thing. They let go. Every autumn, the deciduous ones drop their leaves. Everything they built over the summer, all those little green factories, they just release them. Let them fall to the ground. Let them rot. Let them become part of the soil that feeds the network. Every time a tree dies, it lets go of everything. The carbon it spent centuries collecting, the water in its cells, the connections it made. It releases all of it, gives it back. Letting go isn't failure. It isn't loss. It's how the system works. It's how the cycle continues. It's how death becomes life and ending becomes beginning. Maybe there's something there for us too. The thoughts spinning in your head right now, the worries, the plans, the things you can't stop thinking about. What if you let them fall like leaves in autumn? What if you released them? Not forever, just for tonight, just while you rest. They'll still be there in the morning if you want them, but for now, let them go. Let them drift down to the ground of your mind. Let them compost into something new. The trees don't hold on. They can't. And somehow, that's what makes them so peaceful. You're getting sleepy now. I can tell. The forest is getting quieter, even in your imagination, even in this story we've been sharing. The wind has died down. The owl has gone to hunt somewhere else. Just the soft sound of the night now, and the even softer sound of the network working away in the dark below. Your body is heavy, sinking into the ground, the same ground that holds the trees, the same earth that's been here for billions of years. Your breathing has slowed, matching the pace of the forest. Deep and easy, in and out, like seasons, like tides, like the slow pulse of sap through ancient wood. You don't have to think anymore. Don't have to follow along. Don't have to remember any of this. Just rest. Just sink. Just let the forest hold you. It's been holding trees for 400 million years. It can hold you for one night. Hello again. One last time. We've traveled a long way tonight, down into the dark, through the threads and roots, among the mother trees and the seedlings and the fungi that connect them all. I hope you found something there. Some peace, some wonder, some reminder of how connected everything really is. The forest will still be there when you wake up. The network will still be running. Trees will still be feeding each other in the dark, sharing water, sending warnings, taking care of their young. It's been happening for longer than we can imagine. It will continue long after we're gone. But for now, you're part of it. Even just through imagination, even just through story. You're connected to me. I'm connected to you, and together we're connected to this idea of the forest, which is connected to every forest that's ever been, through the threads of words and stories and dreams. It's all a network. It's always been a network. Sleep now. Let the roots hold you. Let the threads surround you. Let the slow wisdom of the trees seep into your rest. The forest doesn't hurry. Neither do you. Not tonight. Good night from the trees. Good night from the network.
Good night from Drowsy Inquirer. Sleep well.